I was 6 steps down from Tessa's apartment when I heard the door slam open behind me. I already knew who it was. Brody never walked like a normal person. He stomped like the floor had personally insulted him. Before I could turn all the way around, both hands hit my back and the world flipped. My bad leg folded under me. My shoulder cracked against the stair rail. Then, the back of my head hit concrete so hard that all the air left my body in one ugly sound. For 2 seconds I could not move, I could not even curse. I just lay there with my cheek against the cold landing, tasting blood and dust, while pain lit up my leg like someone had jammed a hot wire through it. Then Brody jumped on me. That woke me up. I had spent years learning how to stay calm when people were louder, faster and dumber than they should have been. But in that moment, all I saw was his face above mine, twisted with that stupid grin like he had finally gotten what he wanted. So I rolled him. I got on top of him, and I hit him until his mouth stopped forming words. That was when Tessa screamed. I froze with my fist in the air. She stood at the top of the stairs in her work shirt, one hand over her mouth, eyes wide like she had just walked into a nightmare. Brody looked up at her with blood running down his chin. Then he said the sentence that ruined my life. He attacked me. The worst part was, Tessa knew him, she knew me, she knew he was lying. But she had only seen the ending. And sometimes, when someone walks in at the ending, the truth does not matter as much as the picture in front of them. To understand why I did not call the police that morning, you have to understand what Tessa was to me. She was not just an ex from high school. She was the girl I never stopped thinking about. Back then, she was the one who sat beside me during lunch and stole fries off my tray like it was her legal right. She was the one I almost asked to prom, then chickened out because I was 17 and stupid. After graduation, I enlisted. She stayed near our hometown, not far from the naval base, and life pulled us in different directions. Years later, after an injury pushed me out of the work I used to do and into a quieter career path, I ran into her again at a grocery store. She looked tired. Not broken, just tired in that single mother way, where her smile showed up before the rest of her did. Her daughter Nora was 3 years old, wearing glitter shoes and holding a stuffed rabbit by one ear. Tessa said, "Say hi." Nora hid behind her leg and whispered, "Hi." That was it. That tiny voice hooked itself into me. At first, Tessa and I told ourselves we were just catching up. Coffee turned into dinner. Dinner turned into weekends. Weekends turned into me fixing Nora's wobbly toy shelf while Tessa leaned in the doorway, smiling like she was trying not to hope too hard. Nora warmed up to me slowly. One night I buckled her into her car seat and she handed me her rabbit. "Hold him careful," she said. "Yes, ma'am," I said, very serious. She nodded like I had passed inspection. A month later, she fell asleep against my side while cartoons played too loud in the background. Tessa came out of the kitchen, saw us, and went quiet. "What?" I asked. She shook her head. "Nothing." But her eyes were wet. I started imagining things I had no right to imagine yet. A bigger apartment. A small room painted yellow. Tessa laughing at me because I bought the wrong size kid shoes. Nora running to the door when I came home. Then, one sleepy morning, Nora dropped her spoon and said, "Daddy, can you get it?" Tessa went still. I picked up the spoon and pretended my chest had not cracked open. That was the family I almost had. Then Brody showed up. He was not Tessa's real brother. He was some guy she had known from work years earlier. At some point, he helped her during a bad stretch, and because Tessa was loyal in the dangerous way loyal people can be, she gave him a family title he did not earn. He called her sis. She called him brother. Nora called him Uncle Brody. I called him a problem from the first night he dragged a trash bag full of clothes into her apartment and collapsed on the futon like a king returning from war. At first, I tried to be civil. He had nowhere to go, Tessa said. He was getting back on his feet, Tessa said. He was good with Nora, Tessa said. And to be fair, he was not cruel to Nora. He made her cereal. He watched her cartoons with her. He knew how she liked her blanket folded. But with Tessa, he acted like a grown child who had found a woman willing to mother him. He left dishes stacked in the sink. He smoked on the balcony. He played my old game console for 10 hours straight while talking about how he was about to make big moves. The only big move I ever saw him make was from the futon to the fridge. The first time I realized he hated me, we were all in the kitchen. Tessa was making sandwiches for Nora's lunch, and I was helping wash cups. Brody watched us from the doorway. "You two playing house now?" he asked. Tessa laughed it off. I did not. There was something in his voice. Not jealousy like he wanted her. It was worse than that. It was possession. He did not want Tessa. He wanted control of the space around her. A few weeks later, Tessa and I started talking about moving in together. Nothing official, just soft plans whispered after Nora fell asleep. Brody heard enough to invite himself. "I can take the spare room," he said. I looked at him. "What spare room?" He grinned. "Wherever you put my stuff." Tessa rubbed her forehead. "Brody, we haven't even decided anything yet." He looked at me, not her. "You got a problem with me coming?" I wanted to say yes. I wanted to say I had a problem with a 20-something man treating a single mother like a free meal plan. But Nora was asleep 10 feet away. So I said, "You need a job first." His grin vanished. After that, he stopped pretending. Every small disagreement became a threat. If I moved his laundry off the couch, he told me not to touch his stuff. If I asked him to clean his own pan, he called me bossy. If Tessa defended me, he sulked until she apologized for making him feel unwelcome. The apartment started feeling less like Tessa's home and more like Brody's little kingdom. So one evening, after walking in and finding him using my console again while the sink smelled like old cheese, I unplugged it. He sat up. "What are you doing?" "Taking my stuff home." "That is not yours anymore." I turned slowly. "Say that again." He stood, trying to look bigger than he was. "You heard me." Tessa stepped between us. "Enough." I carried the console and spare TV out anyway. Brody followed me to the door and said, "Loud enough for the neighbors. You're banned from this apartment." Tessa snapped, "It is my apartment." But her voice was tired. And that was when I saw it. She corrected him, but she was also afraid of what correcting him would cost her later. That night I came back because Tessa asked me to. She said Brody was cooling off. She said he just felt abandoned easily. I found him in the kitchen at midnight drinking juice straight from the carton. He leaned close and said, "I got people who can handle guys like you." I looked toward the hallway where Nora's door was cracked open. Then I looked back at him. "Then tell them to bring cleaning supplies," I said. "You still have dishes in the sink." His face changed. That should have been my warning. The stairwell happened the next morning. I had slept over, Tessa had work, I had to be on base. We were getting Nora buckled into Tessa's car when I realized I had left my wallet inside. I went back up. Brody was on the futon, eyes red, hair smashed flat on one side, watching me like he had been waiting. As I grabbed my wallet, he pointed at the kitchen. "You're cleaning those dishes when you get back." They were his dishes. A bowl, a pot, 4 spoons, and dried noodles stuck to the counter like glue. I looked at them. Then at him. Then back at the dishes. "Clean them yourself," I said, "and do not ever tell me what to do again." I walked out. 6 steps later, he threw me down the stairs. After Tessa pulled me off him, everything moved too fast and too slow at the same time. She was crying. Brody was yelling. Nora was still strapped in the car downstairs, calling for her mother. I should have called the police. I know that now. Instead, I took Tessa to work. I took Nora to daycare. Then I went to base with a lump on the back of my head, split knuckles, and a limp I could not hide. Chief Riley saw me and shut his office door. "What happened?" I told him enough. He listened without blinking. Then he said, "You are protecting the wrong person." "I am protecting the kid," I said. "No," he answered. "You are protecting the man who hurt you because you are scared the woman you love will hate you for telling the truth." I had no answer. He leaned back and sighed. That kind of silence always sends a bill. He was right. By that night, Brody had given Tessa his ultimatum, him or me. He told her I was dangerous. He told her Nora was not safe around me. He told her if she chose me, he would disappear from Nora's life forever. Tessa cried when she told me. "I do not know what to do," she whispered. But she did. She had already chosen. I packed a small box with Nora's toy rabbit shirt, Tessa's hair clip, a few little things they had left at my place. I dropped it off outside her job because going to the apartment felt like begging. Nora saw me from inside the store before Tessa could stop her. She ran to the glass and pressed both hands against it. I waved. She started crying. That sound followed me all the way to my car. As I pulled out, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Should have cleaned the dishes. I stared at that message until my hand stopped shaking. Then I saved it. 2 mornings later, my car was sitting on blocks. The tires were gone. The windows were smashed. Someone had cut parts from underneath it and spray-painted ugly words across the doors. The police came. They wrote a report. The apartment camera caught 4 masked figures, but nothing useful. I gave them Brody's name. Nothing happened. 2 weeks after that, I woke up at 2:14 in the morning to the fire alarm screaming. Someone had thrown a bottle of burning liquid at my welcome mat. The sprinklers kicked on before it spread, but my door was blackened, my hallway smelled like smoke, and my hands shook so hard I could barely hold a cup. That was when fear turned into something colder. I called Tessa. "He is behind this," I said. She was quiet. "Mason, you do not know that." "I know. I will talk to him." "You always talk to him," I said. "Then everyone else pays for what he says afterward." She hung up. For 3 weeks, nothing happened. Then police showed up at Brody's new job. He had finally gotten hired at a dirty little auto shop near the edge of town. The kind of place where the waiting room smelled like burnt coffee and every chair had a rip in it. The owner did not like officers asking about his employee. Brody got fired. That same night, I got another text. "You think cops scare me?" I stared at it for a long time. Then I stopped thinking like a hurt boyfriend. I started thinking like the person the Navy had trained me to become. Quiet, patient, methodical. I made a folder. I printed the police reports. I photographed the car damage. I saved every text. I wrote down dates, times, names, weather, camera angles. Every tiny thing that seemed useless until it was not. I knocked on doors and asked neighbors if they had cameras. Most said no. One older man across the hall said, "Mine points at the stairwell. Been meaning to tell you." His footage showed a dark sedan circling the lot the night my car was stripped. Another neighbor had a camera facing the breezeway. It caught a man in a hoodie carrying what looked like a bottle 2 minutes before the fire alarm went off. Still not enough, but enough to keep digging. Then I found the rims. They were listed online under a blank profile with no real photo, just a close-up shot in a cluttered garage. But the chrome caught part of the room behind the camera. A red work shirt hanging from a hook. Same shirt as the auto shop. Same grease stain on the sleeve from a photo the shop had posted on their social page. Brody was sloppy because he thought I was still too heartbroken to be dangerous. He was wrong. I sent the file to Chief Riley. He read it in silence, then made one phone call. The investigator who came after that did not treat me like a jealous ex, he treated the folder like a trail. And trails lead somewhere. Before things moved forward, I sent Tessa one last message. I am not asking you to pick me anymore. I am asking you to protect your daughter from what you keep excusing. She left it on read. An hour later, Brody texted me. "You still crying to sis?" That was how I knew she had shown him. Good. Let him feel safe. After the fire, I had changed everything about my apartment. New camera above the door, audio recording inside, a reinforced chain, motion alerts linked to my phone, a panic button app. I gave access to Chief Riley and the investigator because I was done being the only witness to my own life. Brody did not know that. He thought I had a doorbell camera and a bad attitude. One Thursday night, I came home from the gym with a bag of groceries in one hand and my keys in the other. The stairwell light above my floor was out. Not burned out. Unscrewed. I stopped on the second to last step. My phone buzzed. Motion detected inside apartment. My mouth went dry. I opened the camera feed. 4 figures stood in my living room. Masks, gloves. One of them holding something long and dark near his leg. My spare key was in their hand. I backed down 1 step. Then another. I hit record on my phone, raised my voice and said, "I know you are here." For 3 seconds, silence. Then a voice from the dark stairwell said, "Then you know what happens next." Brody. He was inside my home, and he still could not resist talking. I did not run inside. I did not play hero. I did exactly what I should have done from the beginning. I let the cameras watch. I backed toward the landing while my panic alert went out. Inside my apartment, the 4 of them panicked. Their plan depended on me walking in blind. Instead, they had to come out. The door flew open. One of them rushed first, then stopped when he saw my phone aimed at him. "Mask slipped," I said. He grabbed at his face too late. Brody shoved past him and pointed at me. "You ruined my life," he shouted. That was captured too. His voice, my name, his threat, his friends, my door, the stolen key. Sirens cut through the lot below. Brody looked down the stairs. For the first time since I had known him, he looked unsure. One of his friends ran. He made it 6 steps before dropping a black duffel bag. Gloves, zip ties, lighter fluid, a pry tool, my spare key. The kind of bag that tells a story even if everyone holding it decides to lie. Police came up with weapons drawn and put all 4 of them on the ground. Brody kept yelling that I had set him up. But he had walked into my apartment. He had brought the bag. He had said my name on camera. He had threatened me on audio. And this time, I did not protect him. Tessa arrived 20 minutes later, pale and shaking, still in her work vest. She looked at Brody in cuffs. Then she looked at me. I could see the question in her face, not one question, really, 100 of them. How long had this been happening? Why had she not believed me? What had she let near her daughter? Brody started crying the second he saw her. "Sis, tell them I would not do this." Tessa opened her mouth. No words came out. The investigator stepped between us and showed her enough. The texts, the footage, the car parts, the fire, the online listing, the shop shirt, the threats. Each piece landed on her face like a slap she should have felt months ago. She whispered, "Mason." I did not yell. I did not ask her if she believed me now. I just said, "I tried to warn you before he made you choose." That was the last thing I said to her in person. Brody's friends folded fast. One gave up the car stripping, one tied Brody to the fire. The auto shop owner admitted Brody had bragged about getting even with me. The stolen key came from Tessa's apartment, taken from a drawer she did not even know he had opened. The charges stacked up until Brody's tough guy voice vanished. Conspiracy, assault, attempted arson, stalking, vandalism, burglary-related charges. The man who threatened me with friends suddenly did not have any. Tessa tried calling after that. Then texting. Then emailing. I read one message. "I am so sorry, I should have listened." I believed her. I just did not answer. Not because I hated her. Hate would have been easier. I did not answer because she only believed me when the proof became too heavy to ignore, and I could not rebuild my life around someone who needed evidence before she cared that I was bleeding. I moved to a different apartment before the lease ended. I finished my certifications. I built a career in cybersecurity and site security consulting, which felt fitting in a bitter way. I got paid to find weak points after spending months being treated like one. The aftermath was quiet. No movie ending, no family reunion, no Nora running into my arms. Just court dates, therapy appointments, new locks, and mornings where I woke up without checking the hallway camera first. Years later, I met someone who did not make love feel like a courtroom. They believed me the first time I said something felt wrong. That kind of peace changes a person. I used to think the worst part was losing the woman I loved, but it was not. The worst part was realizing how long I stayed quiet just to protect someone else's illusion. In the end, Brody did not fall because I pushed back harder. He fell because, for once, I stopped hiding the truth for people who were comfortable ignoring it. If this story stayed with you, hit like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments, would you have warned Tessa one last time or walked away the moment she chose Brody?